In this episode, I'm going to break down why and when does it make sense to discount or lower your services to get more customers. And it's very specific criteria in order to make sure you're still profitable when you do this. And if you want to get more in-depth training on running your business, on marketing, sales, or knowing your numbers, then click the link down below and join my Detailers Growth Academy. It contains all my online trainings from SEO for detailers, detailing as a business, social media for detailers, and a lot more. Whether you're just getting started or you want to go and hire your first employee or get into marketing, I have all the trainings inside of that program. Click the link and join, and let's get started with this episode. All right, so let's talk about how you can use discounts in your business to get you more work. And when I say discounts, I don't mean you just discount your services because you want to discount your services and say, hey, I'll give you 20% off. Hey, I'll give you 50% off. When done wrong, you only lose money. That's it. And unfortunately, that's what most detailers are doing when it comes to, let me open my iPad. That's the thing that most detailers are doing when it comes to giving discounts. Because, you know, if you're going to do a $400 detail, right? And you're going to say, hey, I'll give you, I don't know, make up a number, 20% off, and you say, okay, yeah, so I'll still make money off of that. But when you're not accounting for all of your expenses, your overhead, or things that you want to do, or the profit you want to hit, you really don't know what's going on in your business, right? Because on here now, instead of $400, it's going to be, you're going to take off $80 off of this service because you're getting a 20% discount. So now you're really working with $320. And once you go into how, your budgeted hours in terms of how many hours you're putting in on that job, you end up making $25, $35 an hour. And with that kind of math, no matter what you do, whether you're running Facebook ads or Meta ads or Google ads or doing SEO or no matter what you do, you can't be profitable at those numbers. No matter how many cars you take on or no matter how many employees you have, you'll never be profitable at those numbers. So let's say, the big notion of discount is like, oh no, I never discount my work because no, I'm a premium detailer. I know my worth. I have a long line of customers that want my services. So I'm never going to discount my services. Right. You have that camp. Right. And then again, you have the other camp that just swings at everything and gives all these discounts and they're not making money. So the truth is usually in the middle somewhere. Right. So like with us, I don't have that mental notion of oh, never discount. Oh, never do this, never do that. Let me kind of fix it right there. To do any of that, just because there's always room for something if you're pricing it accordingly. Right. Now, the issue is here that you have to price it accordingly. Because let's say there's going to be an 8-hour detail that you're putting 8 budgeted hours towards it, right? And again, I can't do math and talk and everything while I do this, so I'm going to do my calculator. So let's say you're going to charge $75 an hour, right? So for this 8-hour detail, you're going to charge $600, okay? Now, so that's just a baseline, right? Now, if you're at let's say you run at a 20% profit margin, right? That's the money that you keep in your back pocket. After all the expenses, overhead, payroll, it's 20%, right? So on that job, you will profit $120. Okay. So when we talk about discounts, assuming you're actually running at a 20%. If you give a 10% discount, right? Let's say you want to give a 10% discount, then you're cutting your profits in half, right? So now on that same let me take that one away. On that same $600 job, if you're running now at a 10% profit margin, which is pretty simple, you'll now take $60 on that 600 now. So you literally, by giving a 10% discount, you drop your profit margin by 50%, right? So this is the issue when it comes to discounts when you don't know your numbers. Because trust me, if you're not tracking your budgeted hours, if you're not trying to hit an hourly rate goal, if you're not tracking any of this and you just give, 20% off, without looking at any other number, I can probably guarantee you are making far less than what you actually think you're making, right? So this is the issue that happens of we just give discounts out, and trust me, we don't give discounts on every job. It's when it makes sense, when the margin is there, is when we give a discount. And typically it's going to be on a higher ticket item. Like if a customer is going to bring us 2 vehicles equaling $3,100, we'll give a small, and it's a small discount. It's not like, oh, take 15%. No, like it's like $100 off, kind of thing. So this is the issue that we have with most detailers, is that we don't actually know what we're doing, right? We actually don't know what we're doing with our numbers. So one, it's like, if there's room to give a discount, and again, like this is really only for like if you're doing bigger ticket items. Like no matter what happens, we're not gonna discount a $100 job or a $400 job. There's not enough margin in those numbers to give a discount. Right now, again, like if they're like, $20, sure, that you can give a little bit of leeway. But if they're if the difference of a $300 detail is $20, you're probably not going to take on that customer, because they're probably telling you, or they're probably like asking for more and more and don't want to pay for things, or kind of nitpicking things. So all in all, if the deal breaker on a $300 detail is $20, most likely not going to be the type of customer you want anyhow. But it's all going to depend, right? Because every detailer is going to be at a different level, offering different services and have their goals differently. So, your numbers are going to be different of someone else's. So to you, $20 might be a good deal to like, hey, I'll take off 20 for you to book in this $350 job. So I don't want to paint any black and white photos of what's right or wrong, because it's so contextual, Like it just really depends on your market, your area, your customers. That for me to say, yeah, never discount $20, never discount 10%, never give a discount. Well, that's just not the proper way to look at it, because you're cheating yourself, because it's easy just to say no, never discount, because you don't know what numbers to look at, right? Like it's very easy to be like, no, I'm never gonna discount, and a lot of times it's just because you don't even know your actual numbers that you're just not gonna discount, right? Because so here's when it makes sense. Okay, here's why it does make sense to give a discount. So let's say your hourly rate goal, right, is going to be $75 an hour. That's your hourly rate goal that you want to hit. And let's say it's an interior detail and it's super dirty, right? Let's say it's the worst interior you've ever seen. And you're like, man, I really don't want, let's say I'm just making up a complete example here, but you're like, I don't really need to take this one on because it's really bad, but I do want to take it on. So I'm going to give myself a lot of budgeted hours. Like we're going to stick to the $75 an hour. But if we're going to do this one, like I'm not going to rush it. I want to take my time. I want to take the seats out. I want to extract 3 times. I'm going to run the ozone treatment 5 times. I'm going to keep it over. Like it just like I want to do everything that I can to it, right? Like the most ideal scenario for you. And you say, I'm gonna assume it's gonna take me 25 budgeted hours to complete this job, right? So basically, almost 3 days of work, right? Again, made up example. You plug in the numbers to make sense for your situation. You say I'm gonna charge 25 budgeted hours, and at $75 an hour, that's gonna get me $1,875 for the job, right? So that's what you're gonna charge the customer, $1,875, because you're gonna say, yeah, man. What did I say? Hourly rate go, yeah, and let's say budgeted hours, you're gonna charge 25, right? So in your head, you're like, yeah, like I'm gonna just, if I'm gonna charge, I'm gonna charge the full shebang and go the full 9 yards, because like I want this to be my kind of detail. And then you talk to the customer and they're like, oh, okay, that's a little bit more out of my budget. I was more closer to, I was willing to spend around, $1,600 for the interior detail, let's say, because I know it's dirty, but man, $1,875 is a little bit out of my way, right? So now let's say they wanted to spend $1,600, right? So if they're going to spend $1,600, that technically, based off of that, you divide $1,600 by your hourly rate goal of $75 an hour. Technically, if they wanted it done for $1,600, that would give you basically 21 budgeted hours to complete the job, right? So when you were sending the quote out and said, hey, I'll do it for $1,875, let's say you're just trying to jam the detail with as many budgeted hours as you can, right? So now when the customer says, oh, my budget, I was trying to stay under $1,600, okay? Well, then I say, well, yeah, like, and this is you thinking internally, right? Where you might be saying, well, technically I can 100% do it with 21 hours, right? I just wanted 25 hours because I wanted to extract 3 times everything. Right? Again, making an example, but just trying to paint a picture. It's like I wanted to extract 3 things, but with 21 hours, I could just extract things twice, and it's still going to come out great, right? So now you go back to the customer, you talk with them, you're like, well, hey, based on the condition, instead of doing this and this, we can actually do that. It's still going to come out fantastic. You're still going to have a fantastic service. It's going to be a night and day difference. Like it's going to be great. But for 1600, instead of doing 3 passes on everything, we're going to do 2 passes. And again, you reassure them, it's still going to come out fantastic, like yada, yada, yada. Then with that one, it's like, oh yeah, we can 100% give you a discount. And it's not so much a discount in terms of you're getting the same amount of work for the same price. On this one, and again, just making an example, but instead of extracting everything 3 times, we are going to extract everything twice to cut down on those 4 budgeted hours. That way, we're technically giving ourselves less budgeted hours, but we're still able to do everything that we want within the 21 hours. So on this one, we can still lower the price from $1,875 to $1,600 because we can still cover all our points that we wanted to do, minus extracting everything the 3rd time. But that's like extracting things twice. We're still getting the amazing results. It's still going to be an absolute night and day difference. The customer is still going to be super, super happy and excited about the results. This still makes sense. So in this regard, you're not losing any money. You're not devaluing your service because you gave a quote unquote discount. And don't think about it as a discount in this scenario. It's more of changing the work order based on their budget, right? But this is the way to look at it. Because again, if you just look at the numbers, say, oh, I want to charge $1,875 and you want to pay me $16, no discount. In this regard, at 21 budgeted hours, you used to have more than enough time to do what you want to do. You don't do literally, like you want to do 3 passes and everything. You can only get 2 in, which is fantastic because 2 passes is still going to make a big difference. So in this regard, you can still book in a $1,600 job at 21 budgeted hours and still do everything you want, and the detail still goes great. You weren't able to get the $1,875, right? But again, like that's why you talk to the customer and figure out what they want, what they need, what their budgets are, what their problems are. That way you can tailor your service best to them, right? So like even right now, we just booked in a detail for $1,200. We initially offered we initially priced it at I think $1,600. But again, once we spoke to the customer and we said, oh well, this is that. Well, okay, it's a little bit higher. Like, can we remove this and do this? Like, yeah. So technically, we're not giving a discount per se, saying, hey, we're still doing everything the same. We're just lowering our price. It's not so much that. It's making sure that even though we're lowering the price, we're also lowering the scope of work, basically, right? If we're doing 10 different things at $1,600, okay, well, now we're going to do, 5 different things at $1,200. That way we can lower the price, but you're still getting an amazing detail and amazing results and good bang for your buck in terms of the value that we're providing. So but we still want to look at it in terms of budgeted hours, right? Because now let's say, oh, well, on this one, let's say like, well, I really wasn't trying to go over $1,200, right? And again, you're just going to take 1,200, divide that by your hourly rate goal of 75. So now that gives you 16 budgeted hours. Now, again, in this made up example, we're looking at it and saying, oh, like it's not enough time for us to do everything. Like looking at the condition of the carpeting, the type of vehicle that it is, how old it is. We're gonna have to take out seats. Like 16 hours is simply just not enough for us to complete this job. So you're not telling this to the customer, but internally to yourself or with your team, you're saying, yeah, we can't take this one on because there's not enough. Like there's not enough budgeted hours to begin with, for us to finish it. Like even if we take it on, we're going to take at least 20 hours on this car. So we cannot take this on because it's too low price for us to take on. Now, this is why knowing your numbers is important, because let's say on the high end, again, this is just another made up example. Let's say on the high end, your hourly rate goal is $75 an hour, right? That's your hourly rate goal. But in your market, your area, whatever, you know that you're like the bare minimum you want to go for is $65 an hour, right? Hourly rate goal minimum, hourly rate goal maximum, right? Max minimum. So now let's say on that let's just take this $1,200 example, right? Let's see if it makes sense. So on that $1,200 detail that they want to pay for instead of your 16 that I said, let's say instead of 16, it's 1,200. If you wanted to, that still doesn't make sense. Again, and these are just made up examples on the spot. So I'm doing the same math that you're doing. But let's say your minimum is 65. Just for this example, let's lower this to 60, right? Just for this example. So let's say that your minimum hourly rate goal is $60 an hour. So let's say, we're not gonna have as much margin on that $60 an hour, but we're still in profit. Like we're running at 10% margin when we're at 60, but at 75 we're at 20% margin, right? So just kind of bear with me for this example, right? Because these are just made up examples. So now on that same $1,200 job, right? And then you say, okay, hey, on this job, guys, instead of going for our premium 75, we're gonna drop it to our goal here is to hit $60 an hour for this job. And now if our hourly rate goal is to hit $60 an hour, right, on our lower end scale of the hourly rate, like our premium is $75 an hour and our minimum is $60 an hour, we're gonna operate at our $60 an hour mark. And now on that $1,200 job, we now get 20 budgeted hours to complete the job, right? Because you're not gonna have one static hourly rate goal in your business, right? Now, don't get me wrong, you should, like, that would be great if you could always be 100% of the time at $85 an hour or 75 or 60 or 100, what have you. But some jobs, you're going to absolutely crush it. You're going to be amazing and be at, again, depending in your area, your market, you might be at $90, 95, 110, $145 an hour. And then there's other jobs where, yeah, you kind of misquoted a little bit. There was a bit more than you expected. Some things came up. Maybe you ran down and you just waited in the car, but at the job site for 1 hour, what have you. So on some jobs, you're more on the 70, 65, $60 an hour, right? So it's gonna, kind of ebbs and flow with your hourly rate depending on the job, how you quoted it, what it is. And then some services are just going to yield itself to higher margins, right? If you're doing a window tint for $500 and you're able to finish it in in 2 hours, well, you're going to just average out $250 an hour, and you're gonna kill it on that one. Whereas if there's an interior for $1,200, but you're trying to cram in those budgeted hours. So for that job, you're gonna go with your minimum hourly rate goal of $60 an hour. Well, you're still hitting your goals, your numbers at a lower with lower margin, but the margin is still there. But it still gives you the 20 hours, right? Because if you wanted to say, hey, no, we're going to stick at $75 an hour at $1,200, again, this is just for this example, you would technically have 16 budget hours to complete that job at $75 an hour. Now, here's the thing. If you guys start working and hey, let's be on our A game and let's knock this thing out in 16 hours. That way we can hit our hourly rate goal of $75. Fantastic. But as you keep going, you're like, yeah, we're going to need those extra 4 hours. Okay, well, let's for sure finish in 4 hours. That way we can hit our hourly rate goal of our minimum of $60 an hour within those 20 budgeted hours. Right. So this is how you look at discounts. Simply just giving I'll give you, I had a detailer message me and they were saying like, hey, I want to book out my schedule. It's a little light right now. So can I offer like a 50% off to book out my schedule? And it's like, again, going back to this example, right? If you're running at a 20% profit margin on a $600 job, that means on that job, you're going to have $120 in profit margin, right? I forget what I talk about. So let me just do things real quick. So that's gonna be $120 in profit margin, right? So now on that job, you're gonna discount it to it's so hard to do math while talking and everything. That's gonna be now $480 job, right? And I had a detailer who messaged me and they were saying, hey, can I give a 50% discount? Because my schedule's a little low. So I want to book it out. So can I offer like a 50% promotion for it was like spring or summer or something, right? And the issue with that is look, if you're charging $600 for a detail, and let's say your profit margin is 20%, if you give them, let's say, a 20% discount, you just wiped out all your profit, because that's the only part you're pulling the discount from your profit margin, right? So if that's your profit margin, if you're operating at 20% and you give a 20% discount, you just wiped away all your margin. That's where the discount comes from, right? You can't pull it from anywhere else, because you still need to pay your labor the full amount. You're still going to pay your bills the full amount. So the only way you pull the discount from is from the profit margin. So now let's say, if you're running at a 20% profit margin and you give 20% discount, you just wipe these two away, right? If you're running at a 20% discount and you give 15% discount, you just dropped your profit margin to 5%, right? So now if let's take all this away. If you give yourself a 50% discount and you're running at 20% margin, my voice is kind of cracked, you are now running at a negative, because you're just pulling this number from wherever. There's no more margin in there, right? So that's why if you give a discount, not tracking budgeted hours, not tracking your labor, you're literally just bleeding money left and right. And you know, if you're not tracking these things, you don't know. Like you're not aware of what's happening in your business, right? Like it's very easy to do this as a one-man band and be like, oh, well, I don't have that problem because this and because that and because I don't have to worry about that and I don't worry about this. But once you have a team member, once you have two team members, once you have a crew, once you have another team doing something on their own, and you're not tracking these numbers in your CRM, you're not tracking the productivity rate, you're not tracking all these numbers, then you can be bleeding money left and right all day long, running on super thin margins. Why is this? What is this? Running on super thin margins without you even knowing. You might be thinking, oh, well, we must be doing great. Let me unlock it again. We must be doing great because there's money. There's a fully booked out schedule. There's money in the account, but you don't see the razor thin money, the razor thin margins that you're running on. You know, so discounts work, or changing the scope of work works when you understand why you're doing it, right? Like let's say, let's say there is a, let me do here. Let's say you're doing a PPF job for $7,500, right? And your hourly rate goal, like let's say for your PPF job specifically, you want to go for $125 an hour, right? And let's say on that $7,500 job of, let's just say 1,000 of that is material, right? PPF is material. So now our actual labor revenue is going to be $6,500, right? Labor revenue. So that's what we actually have to work with. But we're basing our budgeted hours off the labor revenue, right? Let's repeat that. Labor revenue. That's what we're basing our numbers off. We don't base the number off of the entire 7,500 because a portion of that, again, this is just made up example, but it's gonna vary depending on what you're doing. A portion of that is going to be dedicated to just purchasing material or allocating the material for that job. So in this case, we're gonna say it's $1,000, right? So on that $7,500, we're gonna work off of a 6,500, okay? So let's say on this one, so off of 6,500 divided by what we're gonna do, 65 divided by 125. That's going to give us 52 budgeted hours to complete the job. Again, made up example, just, I don't know, it could be anything, right? Now on this one, right? And the customer's like, oh, is there any kind of deal that you can give me? Because, whatever, I'm dropping it off tomorrow. I don't know. They just want a discount, right? And again, maybe they just want to feel like they got something, right? It's not so much of like, oh, I want to I'm asking more of you, or hey, I'm a special client, so I want special treatment. It could just be like, hey man, it's 7,500. Like, can you did it stop recording again? Jeez Louise, I'm gonna stop this then. And it stops when I lock it. All right, I'll just stop. I don't know why it's locking so fast. And they just want something done, right? And let's say this is with 52 budgeted hours, we can 100% hit our numbers. This is more than good. And he said, yeah, man, I can give you $100 discount right now if you book with us, right? Let's say you have them on the phone. They say, hey, well, I'm going to go talk to another shop, or hey, I have one more shop to go visit. And you have them on the phone. It's, oh yeah, for sure, man. Hey, if you want, we already went through, we already inspected your vehicle. We've already talked a bit about the quote. We want to take care of you, make sure your vehicle is protected, and we're here to take care of you. So if you want to book in right now, we can give you $100 discount. That way you feel good about it, and we can get it booked in right now. And they're like, oh, okay, if you're gonna do that, yeah, we can book it in right there. Knowing all your numbers, for a fact, dropping your budgeted hours from 52 to 51 will literally make no difference in your business. You will still hit all your goals because 52 budgeted hours was already more than enough. So knocking off not even a full quote unquote budgeted hour, but basically one budgeted hour of work, it's we're still completely in the black. We're still absolutely fine. We're still going to hit our goals. We don't have to change anything. But if it takes $100 to book in the job before that customer goes to speak to another another PPF shop or another detail shop, we'll give them the discount of $100 because we can get that booked in right now on our schedule, and he can come drop it off today or tomorrow or next week or whatever. But we can get that now. That's why that's so important to understand the numbers, because once you actually understand what's going on with the numbers, you're just more confident in what you're doing, right? Like, let's just say, like, you know, you just want to go crazy with the budgeted hours. And again, let's say your hourly rate goal this time is $80 an hour. And you're like, yeah, on that pain correction, man, like I just love pain correction. So I want 20 budgeted hours on that goal, right? That's like, I don't want to do anything. And let's go even crazier. Do like, do 30, whatever. Do 30 budgeted hours, right? Again, just made an example. But you're saying, oh, I want to do, I want to do 30 budgeted hours on that job, right? So it's going to be $2,400 as a job. But realistically, like, yeah, I could probably get that done in about, I don't know, 18 hours. I don't know, just say 20 hours. Realistically, you can get that job done in budgeted hours. So again, and I'm not like, if the customer is like super picky and like, hey man, give me more, and I want you to give me more and give me something free, and I'm pestering you on the price, I'm not referring to those, because those are just bad customers. This is what I mean of like when it makes sense, when like the customer generally wants to work with you, but you might be a bit too expensive, or relative to the other quotes that they're giving to them, that you're on the high side. So I'm not saying this in the angle of like, hey, go work with the cheap customers, or the customers that are giving you problems, or the customers that keep on pestering you about price and, hey, why are you so expensive? I'm not referring to those customers. I'm talking to customers that make sense, that want to work with you, that are cool, that they're just for budget constraints, or they just don't want that much work done. Like, this is what I'm referring to. But let's say you want to go for 30 budgeted hours, and it's going to be $2,400. But realistically, you could probably get that job done in 20 hours, right? So in this specific scenario, you can technically, like, you can technically go down to, if you just want to hit your hourly rate goal of $80 an hour, you could technically go down to $1,600 and still hit your hourly rate goal of 80. Now, again, it's just this specific scenario, because obviously if you charge $2,400, but you're able to finish it in 20 hours, then your hourly rate goal for that job is actually $120 an hour, because you were able to finish it way under budget. Right? Under budget means you finished the job before you met your budgeted hours, right? So in that scenario, if you can finish it in 20 budgeted hours, but you have 30 on that job, you will make $120 an hour for that specific job, right? And you might be saying, oh, why don't I always do that then? Like, why don't I always shoot for more? That way I can make more. Well, again, like that's kind of there's a few angles you can look at it, because let's say let's say like you're gonna quote 20 budgeted hours. Like, yeah, it's gonna take me 20 hours, right? And you say, oh, I want to make $120 an hour. Well, then you would charge, right, for those 20 hours, you would charge $120 an hour, and it'd still be $2,400, right? So there's a lot of different ways to look at this, right? It's not like, oh, well, like, X equals Y. It's like, no, well, there's a few nuances to everything. But big picture wise, I am not of the mindset of like, never give discount, never lower the price. No, because it's all based on what the customer wants, right? Like, you just want to give options, and you want to be able to like just work and tailor your services to their needs, right? Because obviously everyone would want, all detailers would want to do everything. We want to do, add the tint and add the PPF and add the correction and add the coating and add the interior detail. $9,000, fantastic. I book it in, right? We would all want that. But that's why we talk to the customer. We understand what they want. We understand what their needs are, what they're going to do with their vehicle, how they use it. That way we can best recommend the services that best fit their needs, right? So that's why it's so important to understand the numbers. Again, we only give the discounts where it makes sense, or we work with customers where it makes sense. If they're haggling and pestering and, hey, this about this price and why is this, and this other person told us that, we're not going to work with that, just because that's no longer about discount, or that's just a bad customer. So anyways, if you want to learn more, again, inside the Detailers Growth Academy, I go very in-depth on all the numbers, on understanding the back end of your business. That way you can plug all these numbers into your business and actually run a profitable business. So if you want to check that out, and inside Detailers Growth Academy, you get SEO for detailers, detailing as a business, social media for detailers, and all my other trainings. It'll be linked down below. I'll talk to you on the next one.